95.7 The Game. Let me introduce Ross Tucker on the line. Odyssey NFL Insider. Ross Tucker. Insider calls are presented by BetQL. Download the free BetQL app right now and get instant access to the industry's most advanced suite of sports betting tools right at your fingertips. You can also follow Ross Tucker at Ross Tucker NFL on Twitter and Instagram. And he's got a kick-ass podcast also, Ross Tucker. Hey, Ross, how you doing, buddy?
Good. What's up, fellas? I figured you might be reaching out this week.
Yeah. Hey, you were talking about Deebo Samuel on your podcast because he came down Bradbury's road, and I want to play it for everybody and have you expand on it a little bit, if that's all right.
Sure, yeah.
All right, take a listen.
Hey, what's up? It is Ross Tucker with my latest Ross report talking about the Philadelphia Eagles. I don't do this very often, but I don't often have something that bothers me like this. Top 5 reasons why Deebo Samuel calling James Bradbury trash is ridiculous and disrespectful. Number 1, Bradbury, crazy durable, hardly ever misses a game, 118 starts. Unlike Deebo, who's not very durable, I'd be surprised if Deebo Samuel starts 118 games in his entire career. Number 2, Bradbury's already been a Pro Bowler. Number 3, Bradbury's already made an All-Pro team. Number 4, Bradbury's on his 4th contract already, his 2nd really big contract. He's made over $53 million in his 8th year playing pro football. And number 5, maybe most importantly, James Bradbury is a true professional that would never make a garbage comment about another player like this. Ross?
All right.
Ross went
Hey, Ross, I kind of like the way you said it, though. You didn't take apart the guy's character. You didn't name call. You just said you called the wrong guy trash.
Yeah, this is a really, really big pet peeve of mine. And I would say to you guys, it even bothers me, like, I got into it with a Philly radio guy because they were talking about how, the scrubs were in, or they beat this team going against the scrub. And I got to tell you guys, do you have any idea how hard it is to make the NFL?
I don't.
Like, do you have any idea
Ross.
how
Yeah,
hard
we can imagine.
to make the NFL? Like, everybody that doesn't realize it, do me a favor. Next August, when every NFL team makes their cuts from 90 guys down to 53, just go through the cuts and see all the guys that you recognize from college, and you're like, oh, wow, he got cut? It is so hard to make the NFL that I'm not a fan of any player calling any other player, or really any person calling any player in the NFL a scrub or trash. But especially for Deebo Samuel, say that about a guy like James Bradbury. I mean, James Bradbury's good. Yeah, like, that's the thing that really, like, okay, you want to call some kid, some rookie in a preseason game trash? I don't care for that. I don't like it. But I can maybe live with it compared to, like, a really good player. But Bradbury, I mean, he's in his 8th year. He's a really good – I mean, he made All-Pro last year. He was second-team All-Pro literally last year when Deebo said that. So not a fan. Really, really bothers me. And that's why I said something about it. It bothers me.
Man, tell us how you feel, Ross. Let me tell you what bothers your boy, man. Stoney and I all week have been trying to figure this out. So we know there's bad blood. I feel like we were robbed last year, football fans in general, of a great NFC Championship game with Brock getting hurt, but they took him out. Okay, I've come down Philly's road like Dak almost had him. Mahomes almost had him. Josh Allen. But yet they've showed me, Ross, they know how to win. The Niners, what do we hear? They got to play from ahead. Look at Kyle's 0-38 record when down 8 in the 4th. My thing is, Ross, after last weekend and the Niners' 3-game losing streak, how the hell could Vegas say that the Niners are coming to a team 10-1, 2 games better than you, but they're favored? And Ross, you played. I'm on the outside, but I don't like it from a Niner perspective that they're coming to the Eagles joint favored. Explain that to us.
Well, there's a lot here. First of all, that's a crazy stat about Kyle Shanahan. What is that? 0-38 when he's down 8 in the fourth quarter?
What does that mean?
Well, how about this? I don't know if you guys saw the stat. I think Jalen Hurts is now 13-0 when he's down by 10 points in the second half or something crazy. Like some insane stat that sounds made up. I don't know how he does it, but he's been doing it. So the two things I think are really interesting, right? Like, I personally believe, like, I'm going to pick the 49ers to win the game, right? So I do picks on the Friday Ross Tucker Football Podcast. Every morning I do these quick 1-minute social media things about the Eagles, the Ross Report. I'm going to pick the Niners to win the game because this is a bad spot for the Eagles. I mean, really bad spot. And I'll tell you why. Number one, they play the Chiefs, Super Bowl revenge, whatever, on a Monday night game in Kansas City. They get back 4 a.m. Tuesday morning, so like a day and a half behind the Bills. And then they go out on Sunday, they play the Bills. The Bills had the ball for over 90 snaps.
Man.
Like, Hassan Reddick and Josh Sweat both played over 80 snaps, I believe, the most of their careers. With Fletcher Cox going down and Milton Williams not available, Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis, the two young D tackles from Georgia, both played by far the most snaps of their career as the game went into overtime. So you combine that, and now the Eagles have a week to prepare, but the Niners, they played 10 days ago, right, with Thanksgiving. I mean, 6 days ago from right now, but they played 10 days from now when the game will actually get here. So Niners have more time to rest, more time to prepare. I don't know if Lane Johnson plays. I tend to doubt that Dallas Goedert plays. And the backup for Lane Johnson, there's a big drop-off from him to Driscoll, who will be going against Nick Bosa most of the game. Then Zach Cunningham sounds like he's out. He's clearly the Eagles' best linebacker. And there was a drop-off when Christian Ellis came into the game. I don't know if Fletcher Cox will play. It's just not good. I mean, it feels like, and you guys know I do this betting podcast with Steve Fezzik, the professional bettor, and he said he thinks the Niners are going to kill the Eagles. That's the word he used, kill them. I don't know that I'd go that far because the Eagles are such a prideful bunch, but I am going to pick the 49ers to win the game. The Eagles are in the middle of this 5-game gauntlet.
Unbelievable. I mean, it's unbelievable.
And I thought they just needed to go 3-2, and they're 3-0 so far. So now it'd be amazing if they won either one of these two games, right? Niners at home or at Dallas. I'll say this. The thing that's interesting to your point, Guru, so that's why the Niners are favored. I
okay, all right.
All-time bad spot for the Eagles, all-time good spot for the 49ers. Feels like the Eagles are going to run out of gas a little bit and that the Niners will be able to win the game. The only two things that give me a little bit of pause, right, are that, and obviously the Niners have the revenge in the NFC Championship game, and they got a point to prove, and the Niners are playing really well again right now, and Purdy looks great, all the stuff we all know. The two things that give me a little bit of pause are, number one, all of the trash talking that the Niners have done about the game last year or Debo calling Bradbury trash. Like, if there was any chance that there'd be a little bit of a letdown for the Eagles mentally, just because of this incredible stretch.
I hear you.
The Niners, with their mouths, okay, and their lack of accountability for what happened in the NFC Championship game, they've just fueled the fire again for the Eagles. And I think probably being underdogs helps that as well. So, if the Eagles were favored and if the Niners hadn't said a word, I feel even better about the Niners winning the game. I still think they will, but those two things might be just enough to get the Eagles to be able to ratchet that thing up one more time.
Man.
But they're kind of limping into this one, both from a rest and snap standpoint, not to mention some of the key guys they're missing.
Ross Tucker joining us on 95.7 The Game. Ross, you obviously are very, very familiar with the Eagles. The stretch you're obviously talking about is Dallas, Kansas City, Buffalo, San Francisco, Dallas. Those are the 5 games that are that the Eagles are in the middle of. Did they talk about that stretch at any point before this stretch? Did they talk about, wanting to go 4-1, or did they even approach it knowing that if they look at it as a 5-game stretch, then the opponent after the 5 games, maybe they're overlooking, but have they talked about getting through it?
They acknowledged that they had a tough stretch of games coming up. They would never say anything like 4-1 or whatever like that.
Right.
And they would never talk about even the opponent the week after, but they acknowledged, because people would, on Sports Radio 94 WIP in Philly, they would say to Sirianni or Kelsey or whoever, hey, you got these next 5 games coming up, and they're like, yep, we got a tough stretch coming up, but it starts with Dallas, or all that matters this week is Kansas City, or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So they don't acknowledge, because, by the way, the opponent after that is Seattle, and so when this started, it looked like it was almost a 6-game tough stretch, because Seattle was playing really well. So, the Seattle's not some slouch on the other end of it. Now, I will say this. The last 3 games for the Eagles after that are Giants, Cardinals, Giants.
Yeah.
So this is like, if you're the Niners and you're trying to get the number 1 seed, or you're the Cowboys and you're trying to win the NFC East, they have to win this game. Any chance for the Niners to get the number 1 seed, they have to win this game. Any chance for the Cowboys to win the NFC East, not only do they have to beat the Eagles next Sunday night, but they really kind of need the Niners to win this game this Sunday. They need the Eagles to lose these next 2 games, because it feels like there's a really good chance they'll win the 4 after that.
Let's get into Brock Purdy a bit, because the 3-game losing streak, I was telling Steiny, I think we might be seeing little cracks. He got back on his horse. He doesn't dink and dunk. He's taking chances to where Kyle, after the podium on touchdown passes, Ross, he's like, we kind of didn't like that read, but he got it in there. He owns the longest pass in the league this season to Kittle in Jacksonville. With all that said, I'm curious, what do you think's on the line for Brock, Ross, if he could go in there and beat the Eagles?
Yeah, I don't know if he'd become the favorite, but he would definitely elevate himself into legitimate MVP consideration, because nobody's really playing at an off-the-charts level. Nobody's really separating themselves. I think Hurts is the favorite because of the Eagles' record, and because the last 2 weeks they've been down 10 at Kansas City and against the Bills at halftime, and he's led them to really impressive wins. So I think that's why Hurts is the favorite. But, Hurts' numbers aren't even as good as they were last year, right? He's turned it over more and whatever. The way Purdy's playing, other than that 3-game stretch, which is significant, but even these last couple games, he's been unbelievable. And I think he's an MVP candidate. It's my other pet peeve. One pet peeve is guys like Debo calling NFL players trash. The other pet peeve is how we never – it takes years before we move on from somebody's draft status, right?
Right.
If Brock Purdy was a first-round pick, how people would talk about him? They would talk about him totally different. But because he wasn't a first-round pick, because he was Mr. Irrelevant, people are still he's played 20-some games, and people couldn't wait till he had those couple bad games and be like, see, he's not really that good. The guy can play, his first 15 games are awesome. Then he plays a couple bad ones in a row, and people are like, see, that's who he really is. And now that he's playing awesome again, people don't know what to say. Here's the thing. He's just awesome. He's just really good. And you know what? There's 2 reasons why he won't get the credit he deserves. 3. One is because the whole Kyle Shanahan system thing, which is kind of stupid because Trey Lance is the 3rd pick in the draft and he didn't do anything in that system, right?
Yep.
Number 2, because of his draft status that we talked about. But number 3, it's because he doesn't do that many things that are visually impressive, right? I don't know how much of that Bills-Eagles game you guys watched.
All of it.
But Josh Allen is outrageous. I mean, just outrageous. As a runner, some of the ridiculous throws he made.
Fastballs in the rain.
I personally believe when Josh Allen is at his best, I think he's the best. I don't think anybody can match what Allen does at his best. Somebody tweeted me at Ross Tucker NFL and said, he's like a combo of Cam Newton and John Elway, which I love. Because he's like Cam Newton as a runner with his size and speed, but then when he throws it, he looks like Elway. I mean, he looks like Elway with how he throws it. So Purdy's never going to do that. Like, Purdy's not going to, like, run guys over for a touchdown. Purdy's not going to, although he's more mobile than he gets credit for, he's not like some dynamic runner. And even though he got a better arm than he gets credit for, too, he doesn't make, like, a ton of wow throws. And again, anytime you say this guy's name, people go, oh my gosh, Ross Tucker just compared him to Tom Brady. Ross Tucker compared him to Tom Brady. I'm not comparing Brock Purdy to Tom Brady. What I'm saying is there are people that never thought Brady was that great because he never did anything that they saw that was like highlight worthy or that wowed them. It was death by 1,000 paper cuts.
Right.
And all Brady did was get rid of the ball quickly, on time, to the open guy, complete the pass, and keep moving the team down the field. And that's kind of Purdy, right? Like, a little bit different in Kyle Shanahan's offense, but Purdy just makes the play that's supposed to be made, throws it accurately and on time to one of his plethora of awesome weapons, and then those guys make plays. But because of that, people say it's more the system because they're not seeing him make a highlight caliber play. Same way they would say for Brady that Brady was the system for 25 years and 2 teams.
Wow. Hey, Ross, man, it should be a lot of fun. We're looking forward to it out here. I'm sure you are too, man.
It's going to be awesome. I will say this, which is an interesting topic. You know, it's really, really hard to beat a team twice and super hard to beat a really good team 3 times. So, I don't know, like, if the Eagles beat them again Sunday, I don't know how. I wouldn't feel real good about the playoffs because it does seem like they'll probably play again.
Right.
So, I don't know. I mean, it doesn't work this way, and obviously if you're the Eagles, you really need to win to try to make sure you get the number 1 seed because it's so important. But if the Eagles lose, I guess for whatever reason, I'll feel better about what feels like an eventual January rematch.
Wow. Yeah, it is funny how that all works out. I mean, we a couple years ago here, the Niners had the Rams number, and then they beat them 6 times in a row and lost in the NFC Championship game. So you never know. Hey, buddy, have fun on Sunday. It should be a great atmosphere.
Yeah, it's going to be incredible. See you guys.
All right, that's Ross Tucker. You know who he is. Odyssey NFL Insider, Ross Tucker. Insider calls are presented by BetQL. Download the free BetQL app right now and get instant access to your industry's most advanced suite of sports betting tools right at your fingertips. And don't forget, subscribe to the Ross Tucker Football Podcast.